What if a quiet, ordinary evening, the kind you barely notice as it passes, suddenly turned into the moment that rewrote your entire love story? Imagine a single request, spoken softly in the dark, opening a door you didn't even know existed. You step through together, and on the other side, everything feels new. Act 1. The evening that hummed. The house had settled into its nighttime hush. I'd finished getting ready for bed. Lights dimmed low, the soft rustle of sheets the only sound. That's when he walked in, my husband, with a familiar playfulness on his face. But something had shifted. His smile was warm, yes, yet his eyes carried a glint that made my heart lift and stall at the same time. Like a swallow catching an updraft, he moved slowly, as if some invisible music were guiding each step. When he reached me, he brushed a stray strand of hair from my face, an ordinary gesture that landed like a spark. The room felt different, cooler against my skin, quieter around the edges, charged with a promise neither of us had spoken aloud. For years, he'd found ways to surprise me, keeping our connection alive and elastic. But this was not the usual lighthearted mischief. This was focus, intention, a patience I could feel in my bones. I slipped beneath the sheets and watched him pause at the foot of the bed. The silence between us wasn't empty, it had weight, like a bridge we'd built from breath alone. When he finally spoke, his voice was low, steady, and more serious than I expected. "I want to ask you something." The tone wasn't teasing, it drew me forward without him taking a single step. A smile tugged at my lips. "What is it?" He didn't answer right away. Instead, he rounded the bed and sat beside me, taking my hand in both of his. Warm, sure, present. In his eyes I read excitement braided with tenderness. Like he'd carried this thought for some time and was finally ready to set it down between us. "Trust me," he whispered. "Tonight, I want to try something new." Act 2. The Ask. He shifted toward the edge of the mattress and invited me to lean back. To breathe, to let the moment belong to us. The request was gentle but deliberate, an invitation into a shared experiment where trust would lead and curiosity would follow. My pulse quickened, not from fear, but from the sensation of a door unlocking. He knelt close, and suddenly the world narrowed to the rhythm of our breathing. He touched me with a reverence that made the room dissolve, as if we'd slipped behind a curtain where time moves differently. The warmth of his breath sent a quick silver of shivers along my skin. I felt open and a little shy, yet completely held, safe inside a vulnerability that didn't make me smaller, but somehow made me more myself. Then came a tenderness I didn't expect. A kiss, soft, careful, the kind that speaks without noise. Nothing rushed, nothing forced. It felt like he was learning me again and allowing me to learn myself. A quiet gasp escaped before I could catch it, a sound halfway between surprise and recognition. "Oh, so this is possible." It wasn't only physical, something inside my chest loosened, like a window cracked open to let in the night air. Compassion, intimacy, and devotion braided together until I couldn't tell where one ended and the next began. In his eyes I saw more than desire. I saw curiosity, the wish to know the whole of me. Not just the surface. His care felt like respect made visible. Ordinary minutes turned luminous. I realized this wasn't a scene to hurry through, it was a threshold to cross together. Act 3. The Threshold. The night unfolded with a quiet certainty. He wasn't chasing novelty for novelty's sake, he was reaching for a deeper kind of closeness, one that stretched past the body toward the heart, the mind, and the quieter corners of the soul. We didn't fill the space with chatter. Our hands did the talking. Our breath kept time. Meaning gathered in the room like warmth. Later, our fingers laced. He broke the silence. "How do you feel?" I squeezed his hand and smiled. Surprised, in the best way. It felt as if a door had opened to a new wing of our home. And somehow it had always been there. What followed wasn't a phase. It was a shift. We began to speak more openly, not just about desire, but about fears, secret hopes, and the little shadows that sometimes trail behind love. Those conversations felt like taking off armor. We learned that intimacy is honesty, even when the words come out clumsy. Trust stopped being a vague feeling and became a daily practice. Act 4. The Afterglow of Openness. Outside the bedroom, the changes multiplied. We lingered in the kitchen, sharing sips of tea and half-finished stories. We took longer walks and let the world become background music. There were more stolen kisses, more shoulder squeezes, more of that attentive pause before a simple, "How are you?" "Really?" He surprised me less with grand gestures and more with presence, listening without trying to fix. Noticing what I needed before I found the courage to ask. One night, lying side by side, he told me something he'd never said aloud. He admitted the fear that sometimes shadowed him, the worry that he wouldn't be enough. I cupped his face and told him the truth, he always had been. He proved it not by being perfect, but by being here, fully. Act 5, Play, Wonder, and a small cave of quiet. After a long day, we grew giddy for no reason, laughing at nothing in particular. That sparkle of mischief returned to his eyes. "Let's hide under the bed." He grinned. It sounded ridiculous and perfect. We slid into that little cavern, shoulder to shoulder, the wooden frame above us turning the world into a fort. The hush under there changed our voices. Whispers felt like vows. The closeness of the space made the feeling larger. As if by shrinking the room we discovered a cathedral. What started as a joke softened into a focused, breathless closeness. For a heartbeat we forgot to breathe. Then we did, together, and the moment became ours. We didn't know it then. But that playful, tender night would mark a beginning. Act 6. The Small Signs and the Great Yes. Weeks passed. I noticed tiny shifts. A tide change in my appetite. Waves of fatigue that had their own rhythm. The realization rose and carried me instead of knocking me down. I was pregnant. When I told him, his eyes sparked with a joy that can't be faked. We'd talked about a family in the abstract. But dreams feel different when they walk into the room and sit beside you. Months flowed like a river that sometimes meanders and sometimes rushes. Then the day arrived, both an eternity and an instant. We met our child. Then, in a breath, we met our children, twins, a boy and a girl. The room filled with a sacred, stunned quiet that only shows up when love changes shape and becomes visible. He cried as he held them, steady hands, soft eyes, undone by tenderness. Life with twins was beautiful chaos. Sleepless nights, sunrises that found us before we were ready. Bottles warming while a lullaby hummed through the walls. Every ache had a purpose. Every tired laugh felt like a triumph. We weren't only maintaining what we'd built, we were extending it, room by room. Heart by heart. I watched him care for our children with the same patience he'd shown me that night, the reverence for what matters. The presence that turns minutes into meaning. Gratitude settled over me like sunlight. Slow and warm. We had walked through so much together, from private tears to shared laughter. From uncertainty to courage, and all of it had quietly prepared us for this new season. Sometimes we talk about the night under the bed. We laugh at the silliness of it, and then we marvel at what it represented, the bravery to try, to play, to risk being a little foolish in the name of love. Our twins are the living reminder of that brave tenderness, the proof that when love is tended, it grows in directions you can't predict. Act 7. The Lessons That Stayed. No, life isn't perfect, but perfection was never our goal. What we have is better. A home we keep building inside each other. Strong and kind, curious and resilient. A place where honesty is a habit, care is a craft, and trust is something we renew daily. If there's a lesson in our story, it's this. Intimacy isn't a destination, it's a path. You choose it again and again, especially on the ordinary days. You practice trust, you practice listening, you practice seeing each other, particularly when it would be easier to look away. And sometimes, on a quiet night that looks like any other, you open a new door and discover a future your love was always capable of holding. If this story gave you something real, hope, courage, or a gentle nudge to talk more openly, tap like so it reaches someone who needs it. Subscribe to Stoicism Drive for more honest, heart-level conversations about love, trust, and becoming your best selves together. Share your thoughts in the comments. Tell us your moment of brave tenderness. And pass this video along to a friend who might be standing at their own new door.